So that story and all of that to say, I am going to walk the talk and I'm going to share my reflections on 100 episodes of the GapYear Podcast. Because I think it's important that I can share how it is impacting the production of this podcast and how it relates to those who are on a gap year as well. So I want to share some of my learnings with you. So the first topic or the first idea is this idea of imposter syndrome. So you might have heard of this term in the past or in passing, but it's basically the notion that you are not worthy of being an authority on something, an expert on something, because there are others that theoretically know more, have more credibility, have more power, have more wealth, whatever that metric might be. And imposter syndrome is very, very real. Many entrepreneurs have this, or aspiring entrepreneurs have this. Many women specifically in the workforce feel this. It's this notion of not being the right person to put something out into the universe. Whether it's an idea, a comment, a new initiative, that idea that somebody else is better suited for it, for whatever reason, that's that idea of being an imposter, that nobody is going to really benefit from what I have to say. Now, I admit that I definitely had this feeling when starting this podcast. Like, why would anyone want to listen to me? What do I have to add to this conversation? And even as the gap year expert in Canada, like the person that does this full time, I was fearful and hesitant to claim this title, this responsibility, this honor, and to take up space in the podcast ecosystem. What was I going to say? Who would listen? Would people even like what I have to say or find value from it? There was so much self-doubt that it almost prevented this podcast from existing. But I am so glad that I pushed through this. Now there are thousands of you out there who are listening, emailing me or booking calls and sharing how much this podcast means to you and how much you take those tips and tricks into your gap years and into your family life. And I am truly humbled and honored by all of those comments and all of those downloads and listens, because it makes a huge difference. And I feel that I am truly able to contribute to your lives. And that is just such a wonderful feeling for me, and really validates that I'm not an imposter and that this does have importance in people's lives. And I think on a personal note, that's great. And on a professional note, it's wonderful to know that we are in fact making a difference in this space for families who are considering a gap year or have a young person on that gap year. Now, a quick side note on this idea, please, please, please subscribe. Leave us a 5-star rating or a review on your platform that you're listening to this podcast on, whether that's YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts. Please, please, please leave a review. I'm sure you hear this all of the time from the content creators that you follow, but it truly makes a huge difference for us. Not only does it give us feedback in what we need to be doing, but it gives us the motivation to keep producing content, knowing that it is being valued and listened to by you, the end user who we are creating it for. It's very difficult to produce content and not receive feedback because we question if we are giving value to you. The other bonus of you leaving a review and comments is that it makes it way easier for others like you to find this content in a sea of lots of noisy podcasts out there. And if you have ever had that feeling like, oh, this really benefited me, or thank goodness I found this, please pay it forward and pass on that gift to somebody else by leaving a review, perhaps as a gift for our 100th episode. So please consider that. I want to relate imposter syndrome back to a student on a gap year. This is the GapYear Podcast after all. So the young people that I work with feel this imposter syndrome at almost every step of the things that they're doing on their gap year and in life. Why would someone want to hire me as a cashier? I don't have any experience. Why would that school let me in? There are way smarter people out there. I'm not qualified enough to win that scholarship. I just won't even put in an application. These are the thought patterns that are out there. And imposter syndrome is really, truly a self-limiting belief. You are getting in your own way. And I think a lot of this imposter syndrome stems from our ability to access these quote unquote experts and pros and winners so easily on social media, where they are able to feature only their top thoughts, their best ideas, their experiences that we then interpret that these amazing things are happening all the time for them. We don't hear of their failures or their dud ideas, or all of those things that they are thinking in between coming up with those gems. And I would say all of those duds probably make up 99% of their experiences and ideas. But when we listen to ourselves, we are focused on that 99% of garbage that we are coming up with. And we are comparing that 99% to their 1% best. So no wonder we feel adequate and unqualified. We are not comparing apples to apples here. Now, my advice is from experience is that you need to take risks. You need to take up space. You need to take a chance and put yourself out there and see what happens. Don't get in your own way. Don't censor your brilliance or even your medium or lowly good ideas. Just get out in the world, take that chance, because really, what's the worst that can happen?